Elijah Muhammad, serving under his number one student and minister, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. That being said, I could never thank Allah enough for his intervention in our affairs in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, to whom praise is due forever. And forever thank him for coming and raising up in our midst our messenger, now Messiah, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I can never thank Allah and the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad enough for not leaving us alone, but in this dark hour, leaving us a light, a friend, a brother, a leader, a teacher, a guide, so that we may have one more chance to try to get it right. I speak of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and in their names I greet you in the green words of peace of Assalamu alaikum. To Student Minister Willie Muhammad, to the student laborers here in the city of New Orleans, to my brothers and my sisters, to all of you who have honored us by coming out and being with us today. Words are not adequate enough to express our gratitude for you taking time out of your busy schedule, out of your life, to come and to be with us so that we may share a word of light, life, and power from the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and his student, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I want you to know that we are grateful because we know that you could have been doing something else. We realize that. And we're very humbled that you would come and be with us here at our mosque here in New Orleans. But I want you also to consider the fact that there were many people who went to bed last night and they had their clothes laid out and they had their hair brushed and their do-rag was on the bathroom counter, and they put their teeth, their false teeth and everything, and their wig was on the styrofoam head. And they had their coat, they had their clothes laid out, their suit laid out, they had everything laid out. They anticipated that they were going to get up this morning and go to church or whatever. But right now, their family is crying. Right now, the coroner is picking up the body. Right now, they're making phone calls. Right now, they're making plans to funeralize and bury their loved one. No one knows the hour in which we will depart. Holy Quran says is that from Allah we come and to him we shall return. One day we're all going to return. The surety of death is certain the day you were born. I want to say to you, brothers and sisters here in New Orleans, as Allah moves me to a certain spirit, is to just simply say this. If this was the last hour of the last day, of the last week, of the last month, of the last year of your life, what would you want to know? What would you want to know? I just want you to ponder that question. What would you want to know? There are many things we want to know. Maybe we want to know what's the lottery number, what's going to be the Powerball number. I don't know. You know, a child would want to know perhaps that 6 out of 10 of our households are headed by females, and many of our young children don't even know who their father is. Maybe they want to know, who's my daddy? Who's my father? But as a human being, the thing that we want to know more than anything, I would feel the most important question the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Most Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan asked us the question is, who is God? That's an important question. Who is God? Not only what is God, but who is he? And then there's another question, brothers and sisters, that is just as important and essential to us not being confused in this day and time. Who is the devil? And what is the devil? Our subject and our topic, Let Us Make Man, is based upon the illuminating teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and I should have bought a better looking copy, but this is my tried and true, marked up version of my message to the black man. This is my manual. This is the way that we navigate through all of the traps that have been laid out by our enemy. Yes, sir. Let me just simply say it like this. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad made a bold claim that's different than any black leader that's ever come before us. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad has Yes, sir. Thank you. Has made a bold claim that makes him different than any other religious teacher that has come before us. He said, I met with God. He said, God is a man. That's a bold claim. Now, the elements of argument, brothers and sisters, when you make a claim is that you have a claim. It can be a claim of fact. It can be a claim of value, meaning believing that God is a man is better than believing God is a spook or spirit. And then there's a claim of policy, that there is no God but the one God. And that's the one we worship. So it's fact, value, greater or lesser, policy. This is what we're going to do. But every time you make a claim, you have to support that claim. You can't just make claims today. As I like to say, or a banker taught me one time, he said, you know, documentation beat conversation. A lot of us talk good, but can you back it up? Can you back it up? So you have to provide support for such claim. And then, brothers and sisters, you got to know whether that support has a warrant, meaning that it's reliable, it's authentic, and it's verifiable. Let's see if we can walk through something just very quickly. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad proved that God was a man using 4 basic supports for his argument. One was history. One was history. Start with history. In the very first page, in the first paragraph of Message to the Black Man, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says straight up, using history, for thousands of years, the people who did not have a knowledge of the person or reality of God worshiped their own ideas of God. For thousands of years. History. Yes, sir. Then he goes on to say he's been made many things other than what he really is. The Christians refer to God as a mystery and a spirit and divide him into thirds. One part they call Father, another part they call Son, the third part they call the Holy Ghost, which makes 3 in 1. So now his next argument is he's using mathematics. He says this is contrary to both nature and mathematics. So now he's using nature or science, the laws of nature and science, to back up the mathematics and his story argument. Then he says the law of mathematics will not allow us to put 3 into 1. Our nature rebels against a belief of God being a mystery, and yet the Father of a Son and a Holy Ghost without a wife and without something in reality. We wonder how can the Son be human and the Father a mystery, unknown, or a spirit? So the law of nature tells you and I that we can't be made in God's image and likeness and then God be a spook or spirit, since we're not spooks or spirits. Using the scripture, which is the 4th way that he proves, is that the Holy Quran says that if you were angels, I would have sent you angels. But since you're men, I sent you a man. If you see some bees getting together, you don't expect to see chipmunks come out the beehive. Just against nature. If you see a field and you go in that field and you're sowing seeds, and they're tomato seeds, you don't expect cucumbers to come up. If God says, let us make man after our image and in our likeness, you don't expect God to be other than what he made if we're in his image and in his likeness. So, let me just jump over here to page 2. If one teaches a thing that he himself does not know, he can be charged with lying to the people. In the book of Revelations, it says that the 7th angel will sound. And when he sounds, he will say, the mystery of God is no more. Well, if Revelation is the last book, we're looking these prophecies to be fulfilled in the last days and time, and we're waiting for a seventh angel, where 6 preceded him, like the 6,000 years, and in that 7,000 year is the millennium of the Messiah.
Wow. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
And he declares that the mystery of God is no more. Then everything before that says that he was a mystery.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Meaning what? Unknown. So how can you teach what you don't know? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, the word mystery, according to the English dictionaries, is something that has not been or cannot be something beyond human comprehension. The unintelligent, or rather ones without divine knowledge, seem to delight themselves in representing the God as something mysterious, unknown. Such teaching, a mystery God, that God is a mystery, makes the prophet's teaching of God all false. There should be a law made and enforced upon such teachers until they have been removed from the public. According to our law, the origin of such teachings as a mystery God is from the devils. It was taught to them by their father Yaqub 6,000 years ago. They know today, listen to these words. They know today that God is not a mystery, but will not teach it. He, the devil, the god of evil, was made to rule the nations of the earth for 6,000 years, and naturally, he would not teach obedience to a God other than himself. So Jesus says, ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Do we know the truth? Because we obviously are not free. How can we have churches on every corner? How can we have the television and the radio stations filled with spiritual teaching, yet we're in this condition? When the greatest of all knowledge is the knowledge of God. And everyone's talking about God. It's like that old Negro spiritual. Everybody talking about heaven ain't going there. A lot of people talking about heaven, but they ain't going there. Because obviously we have not been taught the real reality of God and how it relates to you and I. If theology is the study of God and his relationship to the world and the universe, that's theology. And then we are, in the Nation of Islam, taught a mathematical theology, which means it's about exactness, it's about precision. Mathematical precision, a mathematically precise study of God and his relationship to the universe. That's what we're here to deliver to you. Our job is simply to make that message clear. I don't want you to walk away from here confused. I want to make absolutely sure that if you leave here still believing in a mystery God, it's not because the scriptures, you don't use the scriptures to justify it. If you believe in a mystery God, it won't be because you're going to use science to keep believing in a mystery God. If you still believe in a mystery God when you leave here, it won't be because of history or mathematics. You just want to believe in a mystery God because you're just afraid to step out on real faith and decide not only who God is, but who you are. Y'all all right? Yes, sir. Right here. Y'all okay? I'm just here just to stop by for a minute. Now, right here in this book of Revelation, it says to us in this 20th chapter, the 3rd, 8th through the 10th verse, look at what this is saying. Look here. It says that 7th verse, and when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison. Now, we think that's the future. But the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad makes it clear. Let's go back to history again. He says that the devil being shut up in the 3rd verse, and he was cast into a bottomless pit and shut him up and sealed him up that he should deceive the nations no more until 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that, he must be loosed a little season.
Yes, sir. Think on those.
The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad tells us in this illuminating book message to the black man, the shutting up and loosing of the devil mentioned in Revelation 20:7 could refer to the time between AD, meaning the year of our Lord, 570 to 1555, which is nearly 1,000 years that they and Christianity were bottled up in Europe by the spread of Islam by Muhammad. May peace and blessings of Allah be upon him and his successors. Their being loosed to deceive the nations of the earth would refer to the time AD, meaning the year of our Lord, 1555 to 1955, when they, John Hawkins, deceived our fathers and brought them into slavery in America and were loosed free to travel over the earth and deceive the people.
Yes, sir. Right.
That's exactly what they've done.
We bottled them up in Europe.
Yes.
Islam bottled them up in Europe.
Come on.
Yes, go ahead.
From North Africa, after 100 years after Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was departed, Islam spread to the known world, all the way from China to Spain. They were bottled up in Europe. At the fall of the Roman Empire, European civilizations went into what is called the Dark Ages.
Yes, sir.
But in Spain and Portugal, there never was a Dark Ages. Because Islam was the light of the world. There were more books in the city of Cordoba, Spain, than there were in the whole of Europe.
Yes, sir.
Doctors, astronomers, surgeons, artists, philosophers, builders were there in Spain and Portugal, while the rest of Europe was still believing in putting leeches on people and bleeding them, or that the sickness was because they were possessed by devils.
Think on that. Come on now.
In the rest of Europe, you were put into a monastery to be kept comfortable until you died, because that was the will of God. But in the house of wisdom,
Yes, sir.
Al-Bayt Hakim, meaning Baghdad,
Go ahead.
were the semblances or the foundations of what is called the first hospitals, where you would come in and they would cure you of your disease.
Come on.
It is in Baghdad, and this is why they invaded Iraq, but that's another story for another time. But it was in Baghdad that the great wisdom of the Greeks and Romans were assembled and translated into Arabic and then taken to a whole nother level. That's where algebra comes from. That's where chemistry comes from. Oh, y'all mad at me? You don't believe that? Muslims are at the root of the European Renaissance.
That's right.
It isn't like the Roman Empire fell, they went into darkness, and then all of a sudden they decided to call a crusade. Pope Urban calls a crusade. Then they went into Jerusalem and fought with the Muslims, and then all of a sudden they came back, and all of a sudden the Renaissance just popped up.
Come on.
Somebody had the repository of the knowledge of the known civilized world, which the Greeks stole from Africa.
Go ahead.
That's another story for another time.
Come on.
But they were locked up in Europe. And Christopher Columbus.
Yes, sir.
Why do they love Columbus? Because we allowed half original man Columbus to discover the poor part of planet Earth. He helped them to escape out of the prison we had put him in. That's why they love Columbus.
Yes, sir.
He was looking for what? India. That's why when he landed in San Salvador, what you now call Haiti, he thought he was in India. That's why he called the people Indios. He was right. They were originally from India, but they were exiled here 16,000 years ago. But he wasn't in India. He was in this place that we knew. It was the poor part of the planet. We didn't care nothing about it. Because we preserved the best part for ourselves. Was at the root of civilization in the holy city of Mecca.
They're in what you call the Nile Valley. We already settled there. We didn't care nothing about the poor part of the planet. So he sailed west to go east because he was looking for India because he wanted a way to get to the spices and the riches of India without having to cross swords with the Muslims.
That's right. Come on, brother.
Before Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492, you got to remember what happened. The Spanish Christians reconquered Spain and Portugal. And it was their Catholic majesties, Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand, who bestowed upon Columbus the power to go across the ocean blue.
Yes, sir.
But why is it important that you understand why we let half original man Columbus discover the poor part of planet Earth? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said before he departed from us, he said to his laborers and those who came around this table, he said, ask me anything about the lessons. He said, when I answered those questions, I was a baby in Islam. Meaning he had been taught for 3 years and 4 months by Master Fard Muhammad, and he was given an examination in his first term assignment.
Yes, sir.
He said, but if I answered those questions now, I would write it in volumes.
Right. Think on that.
So when you look at why we let half original man Columbus discover the poor part of planet Earth, and then you see secret relation between blacks and Jews, you say, I can't connect the dots. What is that? Volume 2.
Teach, brother.
He said he would teach volumes.
Yes, sir.
You looking for him to write some books for you instead of him writing books through you.
Right. Come on. Teach.
Oh, you didn't get that one. Let's try that one again. You didn't know that the 4 men that financed Columbus's trip were 4 converted Jews.
Think on that. Teach. Come on, Tom.
They were so-called converted to Christianity,
That's right.
but were always suspected that they practiced Judaism in secret. On Columbus's trip, when you see volume 1, he complained mightily that the people that were on this voyage were secret Muslims and secret Jews. The map makers that he got his map from were Jews who got it from Muslims. You have to understand that we've had this secret relationship with them, and it's a relationship with white people, but the king of Caucasians is the Jew. He's the king of them. He runs them. He's in charge. Oh, y'all mad at me, all right. So, for the past 6,000 years, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said the prophets have been predicting the coming of God who would be just and righteous. This righteous God would appear at the end of the world of the white race. Now, just step back for a minute. Step back for a minute. You and I are so happy to be included in this world's order. Man, I can stay at the Hyatt now. I don't have to go in the back door. Not the back door, the back door. I can go to any rest stop I want to and go to the bathroom. I can go to any school I can afford to go to and have the qualification to go to. I's arrived. But like Brother Harry Belafonte said of Dr. King, he said, I'm afraid that we're trying to integrate into a burning house.
Yes, sir. Come on, brother. Come on.
Step back for a minute and look at what you and I are trying to be a part of. I mean, just step back. And ask yourself the question, what is it that I'm trying to integrate myself into?
Think on that. Think on that. Come on.
What you see going on in Washington, D.C. and the capitals around the states of these United States ought to make you pause whether or not you want to integrate your beautiful babies into this madness. Now, some of us were born in Egypt. So we knew Pharaoh. Some of us have this thought in the back of our head that as we're out here in the wilderness, poised to go into the promised land. I mean, it's just over the river, right over Jordan. I can see it. We're camped out now. After wandering in the wilderness for 40 years. It was only a 40-day trip, but it took them 40 years because they were rebellious. They would not obey Moses and Aaron. So they wandered in the wilderness. They get right at the Jordan River. They're camped out. They send 12 spies into the promised land. They come back, 10 of them come back with a report that there's giants in the land and they make us look like grasshoppers and, oh my God, we're going to die here and they're going to take our children. Why would God do that? We need to choose us a leader and we need to go back to Egypt. God was so wroth, man. He was like, oh, I'm killing all of them, Moses. He said, no, God, please, if you kill your people, then the word will go forth in the world that you weren't able to deliver your people. Don't do that, God. Now Moses is talking to God. He's talking to God. He's talking to God. He's talking to God. So he says, all right, Moses, I tell you what, though, but I'm not taking them into the promised land. What they said was going to happen about the enemy or the ones that are in Canaan where I was sending him, taking their children. I tell you what, I'm going to take their children in the promised land. That means they're going to die here. They can't go with us. Because Joshua and Caleb were the only ones out of that generation that made it. Why? Because he said what? He said, yeah, they're giants in the land, but we can take them.
That's right.
Kind of reminds you of your pants sagging, gold teeth in your mouth, tattoos on your back, dreads in your head, don't care nothing about this world, ain't afraid of nothing, will use a gun for fun generation. Oh, we can take it. Yeah. This young generation doesn't need anything but right guidance.
That's right.
They got the right stuff. They made it the right stuff. They just need right guidance.
That's right.
They're born warriors because we need to be warriors if we're to have an earth we can call our own. There's some of us that got a farm because that's what we do. There's some of us that got to run shops because that's what we do. There's some of us that got to build up, set up manufacturing because that's what we do. There's some of us that got to drive trucks because that's what we do. And then there's some of us that got to stand guard over all of them because that's what we do. Don't be afraid to build an army.
Come on.
Just make sure the army doesn't fight itself.
Right.
We ain't the enemy. I'm getting ready to talk about him. So you get it straight. Don't get it twisted, as you say. All right, I'm almost through. Y'all all right? Yes, sir. Let us make man. Let's make man. Now, we're about to go into the promised land. So right now, Moses, because this new generation doesn't know anything about what God gave Moses on Mount Sinai. See, that was at the beginning of the Exodus. He gave them a law in Exodus, the 20th chapter. He had to give them a law, but these people have been wandering in the wilderness, and then God had to kill off old generation and bring a new one about, so Moses had to give a series of speeches in Deuteronomy that recounted the law.
Yes, sir.
Before they went into the promised land. So the nation had to be rebuilt. I mean, the law had to be restated again before they went into the promised land.
Teach, brother. Teach.
Look at America. She's in debt. Not 14 trillion, $60 trillion. She's hopelessly in debt. She's printing out money.
Yes, sir.
You know the money that we kill each other over? This money ain't worth nothing. Only what he makes you think. It's an illusion. It's like magic. He said, this is worth killing your brother over. This here, I will murder my brother over this. Abraham Lincoln, he was honest. If he come back honest, they would say, this ain't worth nothing. It's just some paper. Do you know that it costs the same amount of money to make a $5 bill as much as it does to make a $10 bill or to make a $1 bill? It's the same amount of paper, same amount of ink. Then what gives it its value since it's not backed by anything? Why would you kill me over cheating you out of $10 instead of killing me over cheating you over $1 when they all takes the same amount to produce the same amount of money? It takes about a penny and a half to produce this bill. So what makes this more valuable, dear sisters, than this? The fact that he told you that it does.
That's right.
We have a lesson to ask the question, why do we love the devil? Because the devil gives us nothing. And the more nothing he gives us, the more we love him.
Teach, brother.
It seems like the more he kick us, the more we're Americans too. We have a right too. You do. You fought, bled, and died in every war that this country had.
That's right.
You fought, bled, and died before this country even had a constitution. Then you was excluded from the constitution that they wrote. Then to make a compromise between the states in order for them to have as much representation in the House of Representation as the northern states that had more population, they counted you as 3/5 of a human being. Then that wasn't good enough, so the question had to be resolved in the Civil War, not over slavery. The question was, if I, as a state, join these United States and decide I want to leave, can I leave? We're in the 150-year anniversary of the so-called Civil War. It wasn't uncivil, nothing civil about it.
That's right.
600,000 Americans lost their life in this war that was not about us. It was about, if I join this state, this union, can I leave it? And the Union troops said, no, you can't.
Right.
Now here we are, 2011. You got a right-wing recalcitrant Congress that's cutting everything. Food stamps, welfare, aid to dependent children, education, anything you used to depend on is about to go.
Yes, sir. Right.
To go. $61 billion in cuts. And next year it's going to be worse.
Right.
The worst is yet to come.
That's right.
And you and I are sitting around here with anxiety. What's going to happen to us? What's going to happen to you is exactly what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said was going to happen to you if you didn't heed what he told you to do.
Right.
Oh, you think he just made that up? Let's see. Let me 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 see.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Let me see. Let me see. What did he tell us would happen to us if we did not get up and do something for ourselves? What did he tell us would happen? What about his program? What did he tell us? He said what? We do not believe that America will ever be able to furnish enough jobs for our own millions of unemployed, in addition to jobs for 20 million black people. That was in 1965.
Yes, sir.
This book was published in 1965. The Wants and Beliefs were out before that, but it was published in 1965. He said that they didn't believe that they would have enough jobs. He said that every wheel of industry would grind to a halt. Now you waiting for some magic mystery god to float down out the sky and produce for you what you were told to produce for yourself. If a man with a third-grade education was a better predictor of economic conditions than all of your PhDs, then who taught him? And if God ain't a man, then who is it that he met with in 1931? Here's a man that told you and I that the educational system was going to collapse. He said we need to set up schools, separate schools with males and females, because the nature of each is just like in here. We separate your male from female. And you're not lesser and we're better, sister. That's below. Let anybody tell you that is these freaks in America and in the West who have made you a piece of meat and something to sell commercials by. That make you display your nakedness before the world and then claim you free because he got you out there butt naked. Walking down the runway, a runway model, looking like an anorexic toothpick. What about that? A stitch of clothes that about as big as my handkerchief. And here you are, Mr. E. St. Laurent has her with a napkin. This designer napkin is going for $2,300. It don't cover nothing. You got some skinny European mouth trying to cover all your Africa. That ain't gonna work. But he told you the educational system was going to fail. Has it failed us? No, we have certain black people who are... Hey, has it seemed like Black History Month to you? Oh, maybe it's because we arrived, because we got us a black president now. We don't have to talk about black history no more, because we got a black president now. Oh, really? Oh, really? He's the president, the commander-in-chief. You see the way they talk about him? Then what do you think they think about you and me? The man is commander-in-chief of the armed forces of the United States, the chief ambassador, the chief educator, the chief whatever. And look how they treat him. Then look how they objectify his wife. Talking about what she's wearing, and look at her arms, and look at her shape, and look at her hip, and look at all that. And no matter what good she tries to do, they talk about her like a dog. Here's a man who's an honorable man, a married man, a family man, a loving man, an intelligent man, an articulate man, an even-tempered man, yet he's a socialist, a secret Muslim, a this, that, he ain't born in this country. If they treat him like that, what chance you think you and I have?
That's right.
Let us make man.
Yes, sir.
Let me go right to the core of these people's thinking.
Go ahead, brother.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught root knowledge.
That's right.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and I'm not saying this to be funny, but in truth, he took complex, multi-layered, multi-dimensional truths, and he became the king of the one-liner. When he said to you, the white man is the devil. That's hate. Whoa. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Stop. Let's take that one-liner and let's unbundle it. Let's look up under, let's lift it up under the hood. Let's see what's in that engine. Let's kick the tires on that thing.
Yes, sir.
That's not hate teaching. Devil is a scientific term. Let us make man. There was an island, the island of Pilar, known as Patmos, with 59,999 followers of a man by the name of Yaqub, with him making 60,000, went on that island. And they were involved in a 600-year-old experiment. We call it grafting. You call it birth control.
Yes, sir.
You call it DNA. He said there was a brown germ and a black germ. How did a man in 1930 know about that inside of every black man were two people? Black and brown germ. And now today, they do DNA mapping and can tell you what traits are in you, what traits they can eliminate, what things they can add. They can actually do engineering. Genetic engineering. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught you about genetic engineering. He said that these people, that the determined idea that was in Mr. Yaqub's mind was to kill the darker and spare the lighter. That the people that he made on that island were born to rule for a period of time. Why don't they accept a president that got 59 million votes? Why don't they accept him? Because in them is a thought, a nature that's recorded on their cells. Not their mind, their cellular makeup. The process that they went through in bringing them into existence has a memory. It has a memory of its own without brain cells. It's a recording on their cells that said, I had to come into existence, I had to kill what was dark and spare what was light. To survive, I have to kill and dominate what is dark and spare that which is light. This whole world is built on the idea of white supremacy. So it doesn't matter that you've elected a black president in their minds, unless he does exactly what they want him to do. They ain't going to accept him. They ain't going to give him so much rope. Who do you think you are? Uppity. Who do you think you are? What is it that we got to stand up when you walk into the room? What is it that when you step off that helicopter, Marine One, we have to stand there. The Marine has to stand at attention and salute. Who is this? You don't understand their minds. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad told Mr. Farrakhan, you can't fathom. Fathom is a measurement. You can't fathom the depths of Satan. You don't know what kind of people you're dealing with because you think everybody's like you. They're not like you. The process they went through to bring them into existence and to rule ruthlessly is not the same as you. Even when we enslaved one another, conquered another tribe in Africa, we never took from them their names, their culture, their religion, and after a certain period of time, they were freed. But what happened to you and me is completely different. These people were loose from Europe and went around the world, supplanting everybody else's culture with their culture. Took everybody else's names and put their names on it. Took landmarks in geography and renamed it after themselves. Took you, sister, and put his seed so that he could get into the hereafter because he knew there wasn't no future for him. Murdered your man, and when he lynched him, would take and cut off his private parts and put them in jars of alcohol because they feared, as Francis Cress Welsing said, genetic annihilation. They knew that one drop of black blood, they were no longer white. Because you can get the recessive from the dominant, but you can't get the dominant from the recessive. You can get white paint out of black paint, but you can't get black paint out of white paint.
That's right.
Everywhere they went, they murdered, raped, pillaged, destroyed, ruthlessly. And then, when you ascended up into so-called majority and think you're in power like in South Africa, he's still running things. How can you have diamonds underneath of your feet? And the De Beers Company, which was founded by a Jew and a Gentile, are digging those diamonds out. How can you have gold and all of the strategic minerals that America and the world needs to produce its weapons of destruction, yet our people are starving in Africa? Explain that to me. Is it just something inherent about us that we're inherently inferior or not smart? How is that possible that we could have all those riches and still be under someone else's thumb? Well, sister and brother, we got a people who are not created but made. Let us make man. I know that you're thinking that in the Bible, starting off in Genesis, the 1st chapter, the 26th verse, I know that you think this is talking about the first man.
But think about this. God in the beginning. In the beginning, God, singular, created the heavens and the earth. God did all this stuff by himself. And then all of a sudden, on this sixth day, he invites some folk to make a man. And then kind of in a sense, ask permission, let us. Let means allow. Allow us to make man. In the beginning, God created the heavens and earth. And wasn't nobody around there asked no permission. He said, let us create the heavens and earth. He just created it. And he said, it is good. Then he did this, vegetables and lights and all this. It is good, it is good, it is good. Then he gets to, it's strange, he gets to the sixth day and he says, let us make man. What man? And what would he be like? He said, let him have dominion over the fish of the sea, the fowl of the air, over the cattle, over the earth, all of the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man in his own image. The image of God created him, male and female created he them. And God blessed them. And God said unto them, be fruitful, multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it. Replenish, re means again.
Go ahead, teach.
Replenish the earth. How you going to replenish the earth? Be fruitful, multiply, and do what you're going to do. But how you going to replenish something? Is the earth empty or something? Was there somebody here and then they were gone and now I'm putting you here to replenish it? You know, if you got siblings, brothers and sisters like I do growing up, didn't you hate how a Negro would drink the milk down to just that little bit and leave it in the refrigerator like, I ain't drink all the milk. They leave about that much Captain Crunch in the box. I ain't eat all the Captain Crunch. I ain't do that. Go to the grocery store, Mom, and replenish the milk. So, but now in this 5th chapter of Genesis, it says this is the book of the generations of Adam. In the day that God created man in the likeness of God, made he him. Male and female created he them, and blessed them, and called their name Adam. In the day when they were created. So who is this people?
Yes, sir.
That are an Adamic race? Because if you read further into Genesis, Cain kills Abel. And then he sent out, exiled into the land of Nod.
Yes. Right.
And he finds a wife.
Think on that.
Huh? Where'd she come from? Right? Cain, he's scared now, right? He's scared because he says that he said everybody's going to want to kill me. After he killed his brother, he said, oh my God, he's hiding. He said everybody that will look upon me is going to try to kill me. Well, wait a minute. There's Adam, there's Eve. There's Cain, there's Abel. Who's these everybody else?
Come on. Think on it. Teach, brother.
How did Cain go out and find him a wife? Where did she come from?
Wait.
I say something wrong? And Cain knew his wife and she conceived. Well, where'd she find her? Anyway, I'm having a little fun because I a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Just give you a little medicine. A little word of warning, a little word of caution. That these people that we're dealing with ain't us. They don't think like us. Their nature is different than us. This isn't hate teaching. There are people who are made under a process, manufactured on the island of Pilam, in a way and under laws of lying, stealing, murder. Think about this. Yaqub made everybody that worked for him liars. All his laborers, that's the language of the nation, made all of them liars. You went to the doctor, he drew blood. He wanted to make sure that you were, what, opposites. He didn't want to marry the black onto the black, so he gave him a blood test. Sound familiar?
Yes, sir. Think on it.
And then if he found that they were opposite, he would then refer them to the minister. Now the minister knew what was going on, but he couldn't tell because he was a liar too. He would make them, marry them, and then the wife would get pregnant, would have a baby. If the baby came out dark, they would kill the baby.
That's right.
And the nurse had to tell the wife, the mother, oh, your baby was an angel baby, and went to heaven to make a place for you. Liar. Or if it was a lighter baby, then he would take the baby and say, take care of this baby. He'll grow up to be a great man one day. Liar. What did they do with the baby? Baby didn't go to heaven to make a place for them. The baby was taken to the crematorium. The cremator was cremating.
That's right. What is it?
Or they fed it to wild beasts. Or if the black child was born, the nurse would stick a needle in the head to kill it. Murder. Lies. Going into the ingredients of making these people. They can't help themselves unless they're reborn again. Now, let's close.
Think about it.
You and I have to now heed the call. Heed the call. The final call. I recap all of that, what you could read in Message to the Black Man, just to give you a little taste, a little toot. Give you a little history, a little science. Because in truth, when you look at genetic engineering, that's what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was saying. He didn't call it all that. He called it grafting. He made it a very simple word. But if you want a long word, it's genetic engineering. I can spell grafting, engineering. I have to make sure I got spell check on my. But grafting, I think I can do that one. So talking about DNA, and that's a long word. I don't know what all that means, DNA. Whatever that means, that long word. But he said brown germ, black germ. He made it simple for us to grasp. But if you unbundle it, you begin to look up under it. You realize that this man was talking heavy science. Notice Muslims in the beginning. I'm kind of talking to the Muslims, but those of you who are going to join today, I want you to get a piece of this too. He gave us square mileage, area, length, and width. But as we move to the problem book, we then begin to see cubic, meaning depth, meaning that this thing ain't on the surface. I'm not calling white people names. I'm not saying that. I'm going to the depths of it. And if I say God is a man, then who are you? Who are you? I know when I looked in the mirror this morning, I thought to myself as I prayed, I got up, looked at myself in the mirror, I said, you are such imperfect vessel. That I know. And you are too. But why do you deny your own potential? You know inside of you is greatness. You know it. You, in certain instances, always show your flash of brilliance. But then you get scared of your own self. And so we look at our great entertainers and sports stars and others who have dug into their human potential and have displayed it before the world, or have had those gifts developed and displayed before the world. We see them and we literally fall down and worship them like gods. And then when they build them up and make us worship them as God, then they tear them down. TMZ has a special report on Michael Jackson. This is what he was doing with them little children. So all of a sudden you look at Michael, you know he's great, but then they drop that seed in your mind that, well, man, why was he sleeping with little children? What was going on? Those, my elders know Joe Louis and the great pride they had gathering around the radio when Joe Louis was knocking crackers out. I'm sorry, I didn't mean Minister Farker. Please forgive me. But that's what it was. They called them worse back then. But black people would gather around, your great-grandparents, your grandparents would gather around the radio, and Joe Louis would be fighting, and it's a left to the head, all right, a left. Oh, and he hits Louis back with a sharp right. Louis is backing back. Now he's coming back. Jab, 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 right hand, left hand. Oh, he's down. Smelling is down. He's down for the count. And black people, they'd be in Harlem, they'd be running around. Oh, Joe Louis done knocked him out. Yeah. Joe Louis. Here's a man who believes so much in this country, he joined the military, the entertainment division, went around entertaining our troops all around the world. Yet, the IRS dogged him, taking every dime that he had. The man died broke because of these wicked people. Much money as he gave to them, much he gave to his country, they took everything from him. And he wound up being a greeter in Caesars. Red Fox, our great comedian, our grandparents, our church-going grandparents, they're going to pretend like they didn't listen to Red Fox, but they used to listen to them albums. They said, baby, close that door. You go in that bedroom. And they put on them blue album, Jackie Mom Mabley and Red Fox. Go ahead, bear witness. Y'all know it's the truth. Rudy Ray Moore and all. You know that. Y'all used to listen to all that. Pig Meat Marker. Don't act like you don't know what I'm talking about. Slappy White. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Pretend like I don't know what you're talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Man, that get you a little taste, man, a little Crown Royal, be up in there. Oh. And y'all be, and we be in the room. What they laughing at? And Dolomite said, you know. Yeah, I'm Jackie Mom Mabley. We listen to all that. Y'all know nothing about the young people. Y'all know nothing about that. But those are the original kings and queens of comedy that really played the Chitlin circuit so that your Steve Harveys and your Cedric the Entertainers and the D.L. Hugleys could have a stage to stand on. They're not the kings of comedy. The original kings of comedy are the ones I'm talking about. But when you talk about Red Fox dying broke and the IRS with a bill, you think of Billie Holiday with a needle in the arm, dying of an overdose. Huh? You think about all of our great artists. Huh? Bird. You know, all of them. You think about all of them. They laid a base for us to be doing Lil Wayne and all us doing right now. They laid that base. You think about Jesse Owens. Went over there and destroyed Hitler's myth of the white supremacy, the Aryan supremacy. He broke that myth down. He broke him down. He ran the tongues out them German. He ran their tongues out their mouth. He was reduced to come back in America and racing horses for exhibition to raise money. And yet you sit here and say, things have changed. Really? Really? They haven't changed. Because the people that you're dealing with haven't changed. They're the same people. They'll use anybody and anything to blow you to sleep. That's why it hasn't seemed like Black History Month. Because you got a black president. Ain't no need of striving and pointing out our own history. We's American now. They can't get to him, but they can get to us. That's why you're going to see an increase in police brutality. That's why you young brothers are going to see that happen. And you're giving them a license to kill you because you keep killing one another. This is why we need the peacekeepers here in New Orleans and all across this country. But don't you get it twisted. When the nation is strong, there is no gang banging. When the nation is strong, a woman can walk down the street without worrying about being raped or accosted. When the nation is strong, your children can play in the street. When the nation is strong, crime goes down. Employment goes up. If we'd have listened to Mr. Muhammad, we wouldn't be in the position we're in right now. Listen to me say it. Let us make man. We gave him dominion over the earth. He has ruled for 6,000 years. His time is up. And the only reason why he's still ruling is because you and I refuse to get and take our crown. We refuse, young brothers, to get down for our crown. We have vacated the title and let him appear to be in charge. But somebody's interfering with his rule. Look at the weather. Look at that blanket of weather. He said in the book of Job, he had treasures of snow stored up for the day of war. You sitting here watching the weather. Minister Farrakhan told you that before you would laugh at him, he said God would show you through the force of nature. He sent a cool wave. He sent a cold front that was so cold, man. It was down here all the way in Texas, man. It was cold, man. We shut down the city for a whole day, and nobody want to go outside. He got monster storms ready to form right off the coast of Africa. They'll take the same route as the slave ships that brought us over here. Coming through the Caribbean. Got earthquakes. Son of Man is creating earthquakes by experiment with high explosives. Son of Man is shaking the earth underneath our feet. The great earthquake ain't came yet, but it's on the way. Pestilence. War, rumors of war. All these things are happening right in front of your face, and you and I are sitting around here with our iPods on, listening to our own individual music. I like hip-hop. I'm listening to Lil Wayne. I like Anita Baker. I'm going to listen to R&B. I like the Delphonics. I'm going to listen to my oldies. I like classical music. I'm going to listen to Beethoven. We don't even get at the kitchen table and sit down and eat and talk anymore. You got a TV in your bedroom. I got a TV in my bedroom. There's a TV in the living room. Everybody watching 5 separate programs in the same house. Nobody sitting down at the table and mama come in and fix that meal, set it down, daddy say the grace. And we all sit down and how did your school day go, baby? Baby, I looked at your progress report. I wasn't happy. You having a problem with math? Do I need to call that teacher? How did things go at work today, Daddy? Well, you know, they getting ready to, man, I was up for that promotion and that man, he gave it to another man. Well, that's all right, Daddy. You still the boss in our house. We still love you, Daddy. Huh? Whatever happened to that? And some of that stuff I'm saying, some of you looking at me like, what kind of life is that, man? I don't know nothing about that. That sounds like Father Knows Best or something like Leave It to Beaver or something. You know what I'm saying? Know what I'm talking about? Know what I'm saying? Know what I'm talking about? No, I don't know what you said. Can you feel me, fool? Yeah, I feel you. Family unit broke up.
Yes, sir.
If we'd have listened to Mr. Muhammad, you wouldn't have this plethora, this flood of dollar stores. Because he opened up the Muslim import store. He went over to China and got goods and whatnot and brought them here and opened up an import store so we could go and buy our products at lower prices. There wouldn't be no Walmart taking over if we'd have listened to Mr. Muhammad. You wouldn't be dealing with no you buy, we fry, or some foreigners or some immigrants open up all the fish stores because we had our shabazz and our steak and takes. We imported, were the largest importers of frozen fish in the country. You want a Black History Month special? We, the Nation of Islam, were not the largest black importers of frozen fish. We were the largest importers of frozen fish in this country. We wouldn't be sitting around here talking about can I get a job because we were trucking that fish all across the country. We wouldn't be sitting here talking about can I get a job because we had the the aviation department in Gary, Indiana, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was negotiating with United Airlines to buy jumbo jets from them.
Go ahead. Teach on it. Teach on it.
We wouldn't be talking about food deserts in the black community on the East End. Now all the population is grown out there where it would literally be the 6th largest city in the state of Louisiana, and you ain't got a major grocery store out there on the East End. You wouldn't be talking about that because Mr. Muhammad had 46,000 acres of farmland under cultivation, had his own meat packing plant, had his own canning factory.
Wake us up. Change off these plans.
We wouldn't be talking about charter schools and vouchers. Because Mr. Muhammad had opened up independent school. In fact, the first thing he went to jail for was not selling cocaine, was not robbing banks, was not carjacking. The first thing he went to jail for was taking his children out of the public school and putting them in their own private school. All praises due to Allah. We wouldn't have 6 out of 10 households headed by females. Because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says strong nation. At the root of strong nation is a strong family. We promote marriage here. We promote proper courtship and proper relationships here. We wouldn't have all these children out of wedlock, and even if we did, we'd all be uncles and aunts to them all. We're extended family. We know who we are. There's some of us that wouldn't have nothing to do with each other out in the world. But because of Islam, we're brothers and sisters. We're under the flag of freedom, justice, and equality together. It doesn't matter whether you have a PhD or no degree. It doesn't matter whether you were blue collar, white collar, or Negro without a shirt. Under this flag, we're all equal. We're all one people. That flag is the greatest flag. It's the universe flag. Let us make man under a righteous flag, under righteous circumstances. And why did I teach you about a man named Yaqub and what appeared to be so evil? It's because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said he's the first man since Yaqub to be commissioned by God directly. So he's Yaqub in reverse. He said, well, why y'all so separate? Why y'all bring us here? Why you teach the women in one class and the men in another class? What is it that he's trying to produce? He's producing another civilization right in the midst of a civilization. You're looking at a nation being born within a nation that's about to come birth. Because as one falls, another one rises.
That's right.
You got to get ready. So, this Savior's Day.
Yes, sir.
This Savior's Day.
Yes.
It ain't about a whole bunch of conversation. This Savior's Day is under the banner of a scientific analysis of the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Yes, sir.
The plenary session, the big sessions, is about how to eat to live. Look on any infomercial. Go to any mall. Go anywhere. Everybody talking about organic vegetables and organic fruits and don't eat meat because it's genetically altered and all this kind of stuff. What did Honorable Elijah Muhammad tell you? Eat one meal a day, one meal every other day. Eat fruits and vegetables. He said no meat is good for you. He told us that back then, but you know, he tried to get us off the hog at first, the red meat, little fish. Come on, talk to me now. He told us about a navy bean. A navy bean has all the protein that a hamburger has in it. The navy bean has B1 in it that's good for your memory. No wonder Negroes can't remember nothing. You don't eat no beans. The bean helps you with your cholesterol.
Yes, sir.
No wonder we have high blood pressure. We don't eat enough beans. The navy bean. That little navy bean. Little Muslim bean pie. Beans. Y'all eat beans. Beans. Y'all eat beans. Y'all eat beans. Muslims eat beans. But it helps you with your cardiovascular system.
Yes, right.
That bean lowers your blood pressure. That navy bean scientifically can be proven to be one of the most healthiest foods that you could ever have.
That's right. Teach.
That's real.
How to eat to live. Secret relation between blacks and Jews. I know you think the Jews are our friends. No, they ain't. You read this book.
That's right.
I'm telling you, I can only read it, Mama. I can only read a chapter at a time because it runs my pressure up. And when you find out why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad didn't like the labor union, I never understood why he didn't like the labor movement. I do now. At the turn of last century, we had all of the plumbing, carpentry. That was our thing. You didn't find white men that did that kind of work. When they started these white unions, when these white immigrants came in here, they came in there and they knocked us out of all that kind of work. Now we go to college and we don't know how to fix a light bulb. Got all these educated people up in here, but if we didn't have a carpenter, we couldn't put down the carpet. Couldn't put down tile.
That's right, Bill.
I can recite the Declaration of Independence for you, but I don't even know how to use a hammer and a nail. We're good, but we ain't good for nothing. If we don't have a job, if we don't have somebody to tell us what to do, with all this education in our head, but don't have the common sense on how to put together some capital and some labor and start a business for ourselves.
That's right.
Got to come out and sit in here and be planning all week long, a whole bunch of paralysis by analysis. I'm not against education. I'm a very educated man myself. But one thing about it, I ain't starving for nobody. You, right here, you walk by historical buildings right here in New Orleans, you see things like the Cotton Exchange. And you don't even understand how it was your and my mamas and daddies who picked the cotton that made these people rich. The Jewish people would come here and be rich. And then in New York, they controlled all the needle trades of making all of our clothing and whatnot. And so the cotton that you picked, and you couldn't get off the plantation as sharecroppers because they would set up stores like they set up trading posts in the jungle. They would set up stores on the plantation, and they would sell you goods and services and seeds at the beginning. And then they would say, well, give us, you pay us back when you grow your crops there, John. And then you grow the crops, and at the end of the year, you'd always wind up owing more than what you gave him, and you couldn't leave. The Jews did that. They took our lint. They took our cotton.
Yes, sir.
They controlled the garment industry. They made the shirts, the pants, all of that. Cotton was king before oil was king. Cotton was king after the Civil War, even though before the Civil War.
Teach.
When you know the root of their wealth, you heard of the Lehman Brothers? You remember when Lehman Brothers went down, how it triggered the financial collapse? You know who the Lehman Brothers were? How they started? They started in Alabama as cotton traders. And one of the Lehman Brothers came down here in New Orleans and set up shop. And they took their riches. The Rothschilds didn't start with, Mr. Rothschild started off and said, oh, I'm going to send all of my sons out so we may conquer and control the world through our international banking operation. That ain't how it started. They were the 11th richest family in Frankfurt. But how they made their money was they went to Britain. They sent one of their sons to Britain, and he got involved with, because Liverpool, where the Beatles come from, was the biggest slave port in the world. And when they would ship in all of the things that our labor picked, whether it was in the Caribbean, whether it was in America, whether it was in Central or South America, our labor picked and made them rich. And then in a place called Birmingham is where there was a garment manufacturing center. And it's from our labor that the Rothschilds made their money and then put them into banking. The Industrial Revolution was spurned by our free labor. We made him able to make the money, to invest the money in industry so that there would be an industrial revolution. It was us. We did that. We're at the root of all of this. And now, today in 2011, what do we have to offer our sons and daughters? But a hope and a dream. It's time, it's nation time. Let us make man. Right here at Mosque 46. Let us make man in the resurrection zone of the southwest region. Let us make man in the hells of North America. Let us make a new people that want to stand up and be productive. Let us make a new people who know who they are, whose they are, and that God is a man, and that we come from men, and that God is the only thing he ever was a man, and he was always hidden from us, because if we knew the personal reality of God, we were stupid enough to disrespect him. It's time now. It's time to build our own. I give it to you in the words of James Brown. Let's get together and build some land. Buy some land. Build. He said, raise our food just like the man. He said, put up a factory. He said, put up a factory. He said, pool our money. Save our money. Do like the mob. Put up a factory and own the job. That's what he said. It's called Funky President. He said stock market going up. Ain't stock market going up? He said jobs going down. Ain't jobs going down? He said, ain't no funky job to be found. Ain't funky job to be found. He said, taxes keep going up. Ain't the taxes keep going up? He said, change from a glass. Now I drink from a paper cup. Things is bad. People, we got to get over before we go under. He said, people, you know what he meant? We just changed. We got a brand new funky president. I'm not talking about no funky president. I'm talking about you got to change the government of your mind. You got to let the king of the universe, take residence in your dome.
That's right.
You got to have a new way of thinking, which will make your hands, as it says in our prayer service, your hand, or in the Quran, your hands bear witness against you. It's time that we clean up our minds and clean up our hands so that our outward cleansing is a sign of the inward cleansing of our thoughts. And our deeds will reflect our thoughts and our thinking so that you and I can produce a whole new world. Behold, the one that sat on the throne said, I make all things new. He said that there would be a new heaven and a new earth, and all the former things would pass away. What is the new heaven and the new earth, brother and sister? The new heaven and the new earth is a new spiritual leadership and a new political leadership, because there is a relationship between heaven and earth. As we're taught in our lessons, what makes rain, hail, snow, and earthquakes? We're taught about that the earth is covered 75%, 3/4 covered with water. And it's spinning at 1,037 1/3 miles an hour as it makes its way around the sun every 365 1/4 days in a year. Is that right? That's right. It's spinning and it's bowing in and giving us our seasons, the 4 seasons of spring, summer, fall, winter, right? Bowing in and out from the sun. And then the moon, the gravitational pull of the moon and the sun pulls water up from the earth in a fine mist hardly detectable by the naked eye. But it can't get 6 miles out of the atmosphere, so it collects in the form of clouds. And depending on the current of air, it comes back to the earth in the form of rain, hail, or snow. What does that mean? There is a relationship between heaven and earth. As the water is drawn up in it, the sun, the light of the sun, the heat of the sun purifies the water. So when it rains back to the earth, it comes back and it replenishes the earth and helps new growth grow out of the earth. That is a spiritual teaching of a new heaven and a new earth, a new spiritual leadership that has to be born out of the thought, the claim, the profession, the confession, the declaration and the affirmation that God is a man. And let me take it a little further. Who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, to whom praise is due forever. This Holy One came from the east to the west, as it was predicted that he would. As he said, he would search the earth for his lost sheep. He would seek and try to save that which was lost, and nobody's more lost than black people in America. And that he would come. And he said to Abraham, God says to Abraham, your seed's going to be a stranger in the land that is not theirs. They're going to serve and afflict them 400 years, but after that time I will come and judge that nation which they will serve. And so, brothers and sisters, you read in Deuteronomy that there will be a prophet like unto Moses. Well, what is the prophet like unto Moses as we go? We get ready to go. Y'all all right? Yes. Prophet like unto Moses. What is it about this Moses? Tell me about this Moses, Mr. Muhammad. What is the criteria by which lets me know that a prophet is like unto Moses? Of course, he'll have his message in his mouth, but it says here, in the 10th chapter of the 34th chapter, the 10th verse, starting, it says, and there arose not a prophet since in Israel like unto Moses, whom the Lord knew face to face. So when the first criteria is, he's going to have to meet God face to face. All the signs and wonders which the Lord sent him to do in the land of Egypt. So that means he's going to come with signs and wonders. And he's going to be in the land of Egypt, meaning he's going to be in the land of bondage. And to Pharaoh. That means he's got to have a powerful king, a powerful president. And do all his servants unto the land. And all that mighty hand and that all the great terror which Moses showed in the sight of all of Israel.
He's going to have to meet God face to face. There ain't but one man that told you he met God face to face. That's the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Check that box. He said he had signs and wonders. He told you that Master Prophet Muhammad showed him a wheel in the sky. I know you laugh at us and say they believe in flying saucers. Oh, no, you believe in it. Look on the History Channel. Look on the Discovery Channel. These people got shows called the UFO Hunter. And when you look on the, and if you got cable, you look at it, they be playing that all day long. They saw one over Jerusalem. You couldn't deny that. Right over the Dome of the Rock. Whoop. Oh my God, guy was on. Oh my God, man, what was that? Jesus Christ, look at that. Why did you see that? But you believe in it. You believe that the children of Israel were led around in the wilderness by a pillar of fire and a pillar of smoke. You believe Ezekiel saw a wheel. You believe that you saw New Jerusalem coming down out of heaven, a city in the sky. You believe Jesus was taken up in a cloud and he'll return in a like manner. You believe Prophet Muhammad went up to heaven, or made he made the trip from the holy city Mecca. He made this trip all the way to Jerusalem, where the Dome of the Rock is, where he stepped on that rock and went to heaven from there. You believe that Prophet Muhammad rode a horse with wings. Oh, you do believe that? Then don't laugh at us at the signs and wonder. What about the sign and wonder of some of our elders up in here? 70, 80 years old. You can't even tell how old they are. They're still stepping lively. Why? Because they got how to eat to live. If that ain't a sign that God visited America, the man can stand up like that. Well, you got people 40 years old that can't even walk. Look at that, man. Come on, man. Signs and wonders. Well, on that note, you can see the kind of man that Muhammad makes. Huh? So today, brothers and sisters, signs and wonders.
Yes, sir.
Find about our secret relationships, how to eat to live, the science behind it. You find out about the reality of the mother plane. Oh, man, sisters and brothers. It's time. It's nation time.
That's right.
So when I get back, by the grace and mercy of Allah, let's go to work. And let's do what we got to do. America is falling. And we have to come out of her and build a new reality for our children. We don't have another minute to wait. Minister Farrakhan says he's going to send forth saviors. I will send saviors after them. Saviors after them. Brother and sister, who are you looking for? The change you're waiting for is you. The person you're waiting for is you. You just need to be taught and trained. You need to be focused. And you didn't know at the root. The cornerstone of all of what we teach is God as a man. And the corner of that cornerstone is he appeared in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. And know that what he gave to Honorable Elijah Muhammad in this little book called Supreme Wisdom, I'm gone. His father, Master Farad Muhammad's father, brought him all of the books of all the great scholars of the world up to that point. He read them. He studied for 42 years, and this is what he left us with. A 1/4 of an inch book that in here are dimensions. There are dimensions in here. There's a whole nother world right in here. So why don't you step into our world? Once we open this book, once you open up your mind, open up your heart, and become a part of this, we're going to change the world. We're going to make a new world. We didn't get this way overnight, and we won't change things overnight. But you can make a change right now. You can be a man. Let us make man, let us make woman after God's image and in his likeness, and let you live up to your human potential. And I closed the way I opened. If this was the last hour of the last day, of the last week, of the last month, of the last year of your life, what is it that you would want to know? And if you found out that God was a man, and that he didn't so love the world that he gave his only begotten son, that God is a man and he loved you so much he came himself to make you like himself and to set you on top of civilization and to let you know not black supremacy but black originality, that the original man is the Asiatic black man and woman, that we were the first and we will be the last, that he came to tell you at the root of civilization that you gave civilization to the world, and from you the world, new world's going to spring from your loins. Let us make man. Let us make a determination to make ourselves anew right here in New Orleans, Southwest region, the hells of North America, and from here, a worldwide movement of saviors. Thank you for listening. May Allah bless you as I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. All praise is due to Allah. Please be seated. About to close out now. I don't know where our brother Willie is. I brought the wrong glasses. I can't really see. That's why I keep taking them off. Okay. Let me ask you. Come on up, Brother Willie. Let's give our student minister a round of applause, Brother Willie. How many of you today are visiting with us for the first time? This is your first time being out at the mosque. Raise your hand. Don't be ashamed. We love you. Thank you so much. Give them a hand. Give them a hand. Look, the Holy Quran, contrary to popular belief, the Holy Quran says there's no compulsion in religion. The right way is as plain from the wrong way. So we ask you, how many of you visiting with us, whether it's your first or your 1,000th time, believe what you heard today to be true and good for God's people? Raise your hand. All right. Thank you. Now let me ask you one more question as we go to our close. If you're visiting with us for the first or 1,000th time, you're ready to make a change in your life, your family's life, the community's life, and be a part of building a new world by uniting with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and we here at Mosque number 46. How many of you today would like to become students of the teaching of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad? Stand up today, shake my hand on behalf of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, and begin that process of this study towards making a new world. Come on up. Now, James Brown says, sister, this is a man's world, but it'll be nothing without a woman or a girl. Go ahead. We save the man, we save the individual, and this is a good individual. But if we can save a woman, we save the nation. That's right. A nation. There is no higher than this woman. That's right. I'm asking you, sister, that wasn't crazy talk I was up there. You know I was telling the truth. That's right. So if you want to stand up and shake my hand too, come on in and become a student. Come on up, sister. We're working on it. Come back next time, God willing. We're going to get you too. This brother Billy Muhammad, our student minister here in the city, I will put him under your care. When I come back, God willing, I'm going to make sure that we see these brothers in the ranks. That being said, that's it. You go with this brother, and he'll tell you what to do. Give my hand.
Let's give our student regional minister another round of applause for that, what do you say, that medicine with a spoonful of sugar. Thank you, Brother Minister. We're going to keep it moving, bring Brother Larry up, and we'll continue with the program so you all can be released shortly. Thank you.
Come on, family. Keep clapping, keep clapping. Praise is due to Allah. In the name of Allah, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, to whom praise is due forever. I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and that Muhammad is his messenger. I'd like to greet you all in the greeting words of peace. We say in the Arabic language, of Assalamu alaikum. How's the family?